in a foreign language. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
remember who it was now. And
Spanish.
every so often there was like I call an English, a British, a
Mm-hmm.
English language word in the middle of it, simply
Mm-hmm.
because it was a more modern
Yeah.
word. It was a technical word, so they just
Mm-hmm.
take the English word. And
Yeah,
I even once
pattern. We
remember
use it
seeing
in Russian. Yeah,
yeah,
frustration.
yeah.
Frustrace
And
is
I
just like
saw
a copy of
it
it.
was a printer. I remember once it was a folk printer at work, and I saw the instruction booklet, and it was all in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of Japanese symbols,
Uh-huh.
and then all of a sudden it had microprocessor. And
Yeah, loan
that sort
words.
of thing. Just really
Mhm.
weird. So they obviously didn't bother making a word for microprocessor.
Yeah,
Just took the
Turkish
English
actually
word.
has a lot, and Japanese
Mm.
also has a lot of loan words. They even have a separate
Yeah.
alphabet for loan words. They have 3 different alphabets. Did I mention that? I don't remember. I
Yes.
think I had that in the language
Is
talk.
this
Remember, they have
like
3
kanji? Is that
alphabets.
or is that one?
Yeah, kanji is like a
Is that one?
copy of Chinese symbols, so they basically memorize the way they look
Oh,
and like their names, and they even
right,
the school kids
right.
they have books where they just have to memorize the symbols and stuff. And there are 2 different
How do they do
uh
that? There must be
memorizing
thousands of
like
them.
years of practice. Yeah, and 2
You
other
need you need a photographic memory.
yeah, well, I think that will. Well, it has a lot of
Yeah.
philosophy behind it. I believe Chinese is very interesting. I would say it was unique, and then
Mm.
like they have 2 different alphabets, like for simpler things like syllables. So 2 other alphabets, they're just
Mm.
for syllables, and it's easier. It looks more like an alphabetical system, and they have
Yes, more
hiragana, which is
phonetic.
like more like round shaped. You always see those like horny, like with horns, some like symbols or something that looks like
Oh,
a whirl or something.
right.
So hiragana is more
Yeah.
for like originally Japanese words. Like for example, if you say oni
Yeah.
or whatever, so it's going to be in hiragana and kanji. But if you take a loan word, for example, they don't have beer, so they say obiru. So whenever they say biru, they use the katakana, which has more like stroking, symbols, like more,
Yes.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
not as curved.
It's really beautiful to watch it, done, isn't it?
Mm-hmm,
Especially
mm-hmm.
calligraphists. I don't know if
Oh
they call
yes,
them calligraphists in
yes.
Japan, but
Mm-hmm.
we would call them that. Yeah.
Have
And they
you
just
seen the
do
film
wonderful the way they do them.
Have you
It's yeah.
seen the film The Hero, like 2000
Oh, I
something?
think I have. Yes, one of the
Yeah, the
martial arts films, isn't
colorful.
it? With
Yes,
yes,
the colorful
yeah,
things. Yes, I love the way they used that. They said that
yes,
the same movement
yeah.
of wrist is needed for like calligraphy and for sword arts. That's why like the noble sword
Just a
artists
mix.
they
I can
use
imagine. Yes,
calligraphy
yeah.
for practicing. Yeah, very beautiful idea.
Ah, yes, that's a good idea, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I
Yes,
could
it's
learn more about them, like from their own perspective, like
yeah. I
of
mean,
those people
I find languages fascinating, and also the culture behind
and
them,
the
and just
yeah
stuff you've said
interconnection.
today, like
Mm-hmm.
the history. It really is amazing. The
Mm-hmm.
origin, and it's actually a thing in the books as well, because the language issue, I call it, in
Mm-hmm.
books is if I'm writing about something many thousands of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
how do I use language to describe things?
Mm-hmm.
Because who
Ah,
knows
yeah.
what they taught? So this is why
Baka.
I came up with that Engel concept. The idea that
Mm-hmm.
there's a pangalactic language set, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what we're being taught. So we're being taught something that is approaching something which is already
Mm-hmm.
been used across the galaxy. Because you would do that, wouldn't you? If you're
Yeah, makes
if
sense.
you're trying to teach different
And
races
remember,
about
remember the
yeah,
Byzantine, like the what was it, the tower,
right?
the
Byzantine,
Babylon Tower,
yeah,
baka baka, like the
yes, Tower
yeah
of Babel, yeah,
yeah.
Babel,
Have you
yeah.
read the book like the Snow Crash from the 90s something?
No, but
Oh, I love it.
no,
Somebody
but
from
no,
Altspace
no,
actually recommended to me, and I normally don't read too much, and especially in English, it was
yes, I haven't
rather
got time.
difficult. Yeah,
Yeah,
with fantasy
I've got
world.
time to write it. Yeah.
But it was so cool that actually, after I read it, I started hearing more about the metaverse. Inside that book, they actually
Yes,
use the same word metaverse for these things. So Snow Crash was actually it was very similar to what we have right now. And the main guy, the main character, was not very rich. He was like a delivery guy or something, but he was one of the programmers who started that metaverse, and he was supposed to be rich, but for some reason he just like he wasn't as much. And the story was that actually he was trying, oh yeah, somebody asked him that to like some of, I think that was like the snow crash was actually a new drug that they used, and it was ridiculous in the beginning because he said, what kind of drugs would you use inside the metaverse? It's all holographic and stuff. But the thing was that actually when they like induced that drug, I think it was like vapor or something, so when they breathed it in inside the metaverse or something, it was some kind of like a code. I think it was like something interesting. I don't remember the details, but it was very interesting that the fact that those programmers, they spent a lot of time programming stuff. That's why their eyes were used to some frequencies and some like, those white noise things like QR code or something. And basically by seeing the picture, they would have like seizuring and stuff because there was like some encoded information in there that would break their mind and like go make them go crazy. So it started easy, but then when he was, trying to unravel the mystery, the thing was that actually they used the language. Like there was like a very interesting language aspect. I think he talked about this, like, he started, reading the archives and stuff, and he remembered about the Babylon and what happened before Babylon. So actually Babylon was the first occurrence of that virus, like when people got, inflicted. They were like about deities or some gods. Very similar. I think you would like that book, maybe. Maybe if you have time, you should check it out.
Yeah.
At least
because
the audio
it's such
file.
The whole language thing is such an important part of human beings, really, isn't it? I mean, we are the only ones who really use complex language, and
and I love the fact that
it's just such an important way of carrying our ideas and allowing us to.
And the book also has some
results
charm. The book also has like the additional charm because I see the characters from all over the world. I like the way they are very diverse about it. So one of the main characters is Japanese American, like another girl is American, and then his friend is Vitaly Chernobyl, which is a Russian guy. And there's like a big tribute to and respect to Soviet Empire, which is flattering. And the main villain was from the Aleut. He's do you remember the northern like Alaska and like Siberia? They're Aleuts,
right?
The people who live in
the Aleuts.
Yeah.
Is that like in the Aleutian Islands? Because there's the Aleutian Islands.
Yeah, something like that. And the
Alaska.
Yeah, the thing was that the main villain was like a huge guy who would. Everybody were shocked because he could use the spears or something like to like a very very he was very skilled at that. So he could like throw the spear and actually like kill a person very far away. And in that cybernetic world, it was like a pretty cool ability. Everybody were like it was unexpected thing. He actually swimmed the whole like. I don't remember, some hundreds of kilometers using just like one kayak or something like that. Yeah, it's an interesting book, so it's a good recommendation. Snow Crash.
Right. So anyway, have you been getting out and about? I mean, it's obviously winter coming on now, so is it?
It's still sunny.
Climate like where you are now, is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get out more.
Cold or?
Yeah, I started driving a car more, so that way I can have more freedom around the city, and it's like a special space, like where I have my music, and now I got acquainted a little bit more. Before that, I was nervous because my husband always like, oh, it's dangerous here and there. He was trying to teach me the safe way to drive, but it made me tense and nervous. And now, like, as I practice more and more, like.
But if you can get experience yourself as well, then that's
exactly.
That makes you better drive it, isn't it? So that there's no good not driving because that'll just make you more.
Yeah. So I also decided that it's gonna be a good transition if I start in a warmer days, like so that way I can get to know the car and the things. So by winter or by autumn, I can have this like some opportunity to travel to my other city or whatever.
The difficult thing in the winter, of course, if it gets dark early, if you're driving more in the darkness and you have all the glare of the lights coming the other way, which is a tricky thing.
Yes,
a
or
few years
raining.
back, and I must, raining, yes. A few years back, when I was a student, long time ago, I thought of patenting an idea for cutting down glare of cars, and I must do a demonstration of it. Really, I need to set it up, but. And
cool.
if what you do is, polarized filters, if you have polarized filters, you have two of them. If they're lined together, the scattered light, and it polarizes, and it can go through. But if you put them at 90 degrees, the polarizing stops if it's at the wrong angle. Okay. So if do you know how polarized filters work? Yeah.
So not really. That you ask me, I'm not sure. I'm like I'm very knowledgeable of the details.
Yeah. So a polarizing filter, normal light has a. If you imagine a wavy light, right? And they talk about light waves, don't they?
Yeah,
right.
Like a different.
It might
frequencies,
be going like that. Right, no, let's say the same. It doesn't matter about the frequency for this. This is the polarization of light, and it's quite important for if you're looking at in astronomy and that as well. But it can be it can be going like that, but it could also be going like that. So that is vertically polarized light, and that is horizontally polarized light. Say. Now, normal light, when it scatters off objects, it's in all angles. It's all not particularly polarized.
Yeah, reflected.
But if you have, so if you have Polaroid lenses, okay.
Yeah, I use the glasses of my husband. I think they have the Polaroid.
So they allow vertically polarized light through. So if you,
but they block the other one.
So
right?
if you look at the surface of water. If you look at the surface of water, the reflections are polarized, right? Let's say, I think it would come down, it would be vertically polarized, wouldn't it? So they block vertically polarized light, right? I think they're horizontally polarized let through. It's a bit like having lots of lines on the glasses. So they allow
on the
horizontally polarized. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're looking at a reflection on a water, it gets blocked by the polarizing filter. But other ones, or normal scattered light, isn't. Most of it gets through, so you don't notice it very much. But it means you can see into water more clearly. That's one of the effects you get. But it also, if you're driving with Polaroid glasses on, you probably might see on the windscreen strange patterns, because the way they make the windscreens, it's laminated. And that tends to polarize light a bit as well. So you often see weird sort of patterns on the windscreen if you're wearing polarized filters. The other thing is if you've got liquid crystal displays. If you've got LCD displays, on a phone, for example.
Did you say LSD?
Polaroid,
yeah, got it.
You can't see. You can only see it one way or not the other. That's because of the polarizing filters in the displays. So. Yeah,
interesting.
But if you were to put, all right, let's say this is the car situation, okay? So you imagine two cars with their lights on coming at one another.
Cars or bars?
Let's see. Yeah, cars, not cars.
Yeah. Another reference to your book.
I know, but these are CARS. Right. If you put a polarizing filter angled that way across on the headlamps, okay. So two headlamps, you put polarizing filter at 45 degrees, okay. And then if you either on the windscreen or on your glasses, you have polarizing filter at the same angle, 45 degrees, then the light coming out from the headlamps will either scatter or it will come back with that same polarization. So you will see it. The light will light up the scene for you, which is what you want. But if there's a car coming at the other direction and it's got the same filters on, it will be that way around.
Vice versa.
At 90 degrees. So the light from that car's headlamps will be heavily cut down. So you just see a little purple. So it would cut the light brightness of the oncoming headlights a lot. But your own light would still work. So it would be a good way of getting rid of the glare from a car coming the other way. I must set up a demonstration one day and put it on YouTube or something like that, because
Was it
I
your
came up with that idea
idea,
about
or
40 years ago.
was it your own idea? Where did it end up?
Well, I came up with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I must get around to writing it up as a patent application or something. But again,
Oh, you should do that. Maybe that's
Well, I
going to
could
be
do a
great.
demonstration.
Because,
I just want
yeah.
people to use it, to do it. I don't care about patents, but
Well,
anyway, it's just an idea.
if it's useful for people, and it's this is a potentially thing that could actually cut down the statistics of deaths and accidents. So
Yes,
you certainly should try it, and just like for the sake of the
I need to
humankind.
set it. I want to do a demo one day. I get some polarizing filter and set it up, because there's no moving parts, you see. So it's just literally the fact that you're coming the other direction. So it's at 45 degrees. Anyway, I'll try it one day.
Would you have to wear glasses and like also like process
you'd either have to put some
headlights?
on the windscreen, or
coating?
you'd have to wear glasses to stop it. You wouldn't have to wear the glasses normally, but but if you put it on your glasses, so they'd be slightly tinted, but that would be more than offset by not having the glare from the direct headlamps of the car coming the other way. Anyway, I'll try it one day.
Yeah, my husband has some glasses that he brought from Hungary when he was traveling. It's like some expensive kind. And he says it's like polarized. And whenever I drive, I put them on. And it's like the yellowish color also brings more light. So that way it's better.
Yes,
it's more positive when you drive in winter or
it can
autumn.
help.
But oops. I keep forgetting about the size. It kind of helps when I drive. Like I don't see too many distractions, especially during the day. I'm not sure about the evening.
Yeah, it's quite
I keep
important,
forgetting to turn
and also
on
this
my
time
headlights.
of year, the sun starts being quite low in the sky, doesn't it? It's, this time of year, the sun is never very high in the sky, so that it tends to come more into the car.
Yeah, and
so whereas in the summer, it's quite high in the sky. So what latitude are you at, Azzy? What latitude?
Oh, good question. Like 45 something.
Is it 45? Right.
45,
okay. So you are
46,
further south.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah. Kabardino-Balkaria. One of the weird things is that it's on the line of equal latitude and longitude. So it doesn't mean anything, because obviously the line is
like 45,
longitude.
45 something. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
45,
it's like
45,
the same.
Yeah, it's actually goes through Kabardino-Balkaria. Yeah, I remember reading that.
Oh, maybe another sign.
No, it
maybe
doesn't
that's
really
why
mean anything, because of course 0 longitude just happens to be through GMT, through Britain. That's
just happens to be.
We created the longitude system, but
whoops.
But it's quite interesting that if you go up, it's 45, 45. In the year of 45, there's a song.
Curious. I wonder if it was connected anyhow to those like pyramids in Giza and other places. Because the guy, he kept talking about the proportions that were used in the pyramids and like some coordinates. So I'm curious.
Well, the thing that the trouble is with sacred geometry, they keep pushing this a lot, but which is interesting. But the trouble is they keep saying, well, like the Egyptians must have known about pi and things. But very often you don't have to know about them to end up expressing them, because the Egyptian, if you imagine the way they might have designed something. So the height of the Great Pyramid, right? So if you take the base of the Great Pyramid and make a circle touching the corners, and then you take that up the radius, that's the height of the pyramid as well. So there's a relationship there. And people say, well, they must have understood the maths and the pi and that. But you can imagine them just drawing it. You don't have to know about it. You just have to
intuitive. It's like it's just sometimes geometry. You don't have to know the formulas just to see the proportions.
You just have to,
like by the naked eye. Actually, I remember we had like this quiz party or something. Well. They were trying to solve the problem, the geometrical problem that they were like offered, and they had like a very limited time. And I'm like, well, as far as I can see, it's like 6 + 6, and this one equals this. So I just like randomly said that it should be this without counting. And like the rest of the team were trying to count and use the formulas. So I said, and all the answers were different. So I told them like, just use this one. And it was correct because it was just like visibly like same size and same stuff.
And there are
And angles
relationships like
also.
you get in the shells, isn't it? Spiral shells of seashells.
Yeah,
and that,
the like
where
what was
the
it? The
side and that. So it's
Fibonacci's
that plus that. It's
numbers.
the Bernoulli series, isn't it? I think it is.
Oh, Bernoulli.
And you
No,
get the magic
Fibonacci. I think it
number
was.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or Fibonacci, Bernoulli. Yeah, Fibonacci. Yeah.
Was it
So
like
yeah, it's
all
just
natural
looks good.
numbers?
It looks nice because probably we're
Yeah,
used to
it is.
seeing things like that in nature. And,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like we just found the way to describe things that occur very often. Like whenever there's an interesting like point that Sapolsky was telling about. Like when you go to one country that has like a high, mountain, and it has like the bio, like the flora and fauna changes very, very, significantly as you go further into the mountains. And he said that it was curious that there were like different species of flowers, but like in different regions, like in the mountains far away from each other, they would have the same shape. It looked like it almost like required to be that shape, like two or some like set of shapes. So the idea was probably that the severe different conditions, they formed like some patterns that allowed only certain shapes to survive there. That's why they resemble each other, even though they're like taxonomically they're very different, and they're like from different species and stuff. So maybe this is something like a sacred natural thing.
It's funny how these things emerge from basically simple rules, and you get these emergent properties. So a set of rules applied over there, and people think, oh, it must mean that they've communicated, or that there are some brought from there to there, but they've just followed the basic
rules of the game. Yes, are the same for everybody.
Yes, the rules of the
game of life,
and it has interesting effects,
Yeah, like, I love that. Yeah, Koval's. Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying eyes have evolved in lots of different species, which are completely dead. They don't interact, but they've basically all ended up more or less the same, very similar ways of It's like us and octopus eyes, isn't it? Octopus eyes are very similar to human eyes. They're the most similar in the animal kingdom to human eyes. In
wow, that's surprising. Octopi,
it's
yeah,
weird,
I think.
they're almost So
cactus and cacti.
It's just because it's the same. It's the same physics.
I think there was like some interesting recent research about the eyes and like photo sensitive like things. There was some creature, I think, that they put to develop separately in a petri dish or something like that. So after a while, it started forming the photosensitive, beginning like of eye cells or something. It was curious.
Yes. Yeah. It's fascinating. I mean, I'm not a biologist or anything, but I just find that fascinating how all these
I love those.
These things we see in nature just come about, from
exactly.
From the,
I found it very curious as well. Do you remember that demonstration that I showed a couple of times with Game of Life? Game of Life. Yes, I love it. It's like the same property, like a simple set of rules creates the world where like the just things can emerge.
Lots of times. Yeah, and you can get all these amazing shapes and that evolve and it's
die and like some of them just like stay the same, some of them just travel and like develop and then die and have like all these different cycles of life. So I think that's that's basically what it is about life. I think when you talk about like the entropy, like the absolute chaos and
the disorder, measure of disorder, isn't it?
Well, but the disorder actually is order, because there's no life that breaks that cycle. But once the life starts, there's like the grade of order grows gradually. But I think there's going to be a certain point where everything is going to go
input,
back.
That's why,
and like it's like a big cycle.
Because it can take in energy. Life can take in energy. So if you add in energy, you can decrease entropy. But normal systems, a normal system, it can never decrease. It always gets more chaotic. But if you put energy into it, like a living system can take in energy and can apply that and make itself more ordered.
Divine touch,
because we obviously take in food and we create cells and that are more ordered than the random food. It's because we
Yeah,
have
it's all
energy to do it.
mystical. It's very mystical and mesmerizing. I would say that
Mm.
when people talk about
Yeah.
God, I imagine something like that entropy happened like
Right.
in cycles and cycles and many cycles, and once in a while, like there was like a spark of life, like that little particle that started, and then like the whole thing
Mm.
then started over again. Yeah, but we'll see.
It is
Like it feels
fascinating,
like
the
it's
whole thing.
accelerating. It feels like the time is accelerating, at least in human life today. And some things happen that
Well,
possibly look like
yeah.
unprecedented.
I think it's because we have now the ability to see things happening at all scales, so we
Mm-hmm.
can study,
Science.
DNA and the way that cells work and things, and we perhaps are much more aware now of all the things that are going on. So it seems like there's a lot more going on, Whereas
Mm-hmm.
I think a few hundred years ago, people were just trying to grow some crops, maybe, or raise some
Yeah.
cattle.
Mm-hmm.
A
Life was
very
simple.
simple life, really, and didn't have much time. I mean, okay, there were some creatives, them who did statues and things,
Yeah, I think that
but
the
life was much simpler. Yeah.
the scale of life is that we consider. I think at least like few 100,000
Mm.
years, I guess. Maybe no, let me
Yeah.
take that back. I would say like 50,000
Yeah.
years would erase the main question is like how long can you preserve things? Like if all I'm wondering like if tomorrow everything dies like basically on the planet, like for how long are
Mm.
we going to have like the remains? Like I know the like for example paper it decays in like few months, and then
Quickly, yeah.
plastic stays
Yeah.
for like 50 years or something.
Mm.
What was it, like glass? I think it decays in 500
Yeah.
years or so. And how
Mm.
long would it
You
stay
need.
there?
I
Oops.
mean,
Yeah.
some metals. If people make stuff out of certain metals, then they would
Mm-hmm.
last a long time. Gold.
Oops.
Can be
Sorry.
last a long time. Whoop.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oops.
Coming up to my yeah.
Yeah, I was trying
So
to
yeah, but it
figure.
is an interesting,
Mhm.
interesting story. Oh,
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, there you go.
there you
I'm
go.
trying to catch the eye contact. I'm like constantly somewhere. So yeah.
That, I was talking about future headsets, the
Mm-hmm.
next headset, and I think it's going to be called the Oculus Pro, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to have internal eye tracking, so
Yeah,
it
it
will
feels
know where your
technological step.
actual eyes are pointing.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a bit strange, I think, for some people.
Yeah,
It's,
maybe.
if you're not looking at the person. I wonder if it will close the eyes and that as well. That's going to be very strange.
Yeah, it
I don't
is
know what they do.
strange here when
Yeah,
you stand and your eyes are just like moving just because of the programming.
yeah.
Like if there's somebody close, you just like scan.
It's quite good, isn't it? But I notice if I move my
Yeah,
hands,
if
your
I
eyes
move
keep
my
looking,
hand, your eyes just
tracking
move like
sideways.
right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not. I'm looking straight at you all the time.
Exactly. That's why I
Yes,
do. That's what I
yeah,
do. But it kind of gives you this additional. I think that's works on some subconscious level. Like if the eyes are not
mm,
moving, it looks creepy. That's why like your brain kind of like thinks that something is wrong with this creature. Like for example, that's why I remember
yes,
the Joe Rogan's talk about there was a lady who created a very similar model to herself. Like she had a copy but a robot copy, so she bought like
right.
like a $6,000 or
Oh,
something, like a body for like a sex doll
yeah,
that was like looking
right.
like her. She customized the doll
Yes,
so that it
yeah,
looks like her. And then she also invested around $100,000 or something into a head. So it
wow.
was like an animated head that could have like the Alexa or something in her head. So she would like
Well,
watch you blink sometimes. If you ask questions, she would answer more or less.
a bit creepy, but
Um,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, they were
right.
discussing it, and she mentioned that probably because of our evolutionary, the way we were there, like our brain